Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Check, Coach Jay. I can hear you loud and clear, and hopefully you can hear me loud and clear also.
Sounds good to me over here, Coach. Looks good as well. Welcome, everyone. Let's get a confirmation in the chat just to make sure they can hear us. Yep, looks all good. Just got the confirmation from Andrew as well, which means we are in the clear. Welcome to At the Buzzer, everyone, our market recap. If this is your first time here, the goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity, see how we could have taken advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. This is our first time meeting. I'm Coach Jay. I've been a Topstep Performance Coach since June of 2023, and that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
And I'm Coach Paul. I'm performance coach here with Topstep for about the same time. And I've been involved in the futures industry for 4 decades, the last 25 years exclusively trading. I'm here to hope you share some of my experiences and knowledge and assist you in becoming a better trader.
Coach,
So, Coach,
I'm
can
going
you spell Nvidia?
to. NVDA. I was going to say, I think half of the people are here to see you. The other half are here to see the Nvidia earnings. So let's switch over to the Nvidia chart for now. We do have Nvidia earnings coming out in the next 3 minutes or so. So I'll pull up my trading view charts. So far, what I've seen is the expected move in Nvidia is 8% in either direction, whether that's to the upside or the downside. 8% to the upside would put us at a new all-time high and somewhere near 160, and then to the downside, that put us somewhere near 130. Nvidia trading $145 currently. Let's pull up the financials page on TradingView, and right now, earnings per share estimate is 75 cents, and revenue estimate $33.17 billion. So we will see. How do they come up with these expected moves? I believe a lot of it is based on the options data, those expected
Yeah.
moves, right? Volatility in the options data.
You could also get the price of the at-the-money options, or the straddle, and see what percentage that is above or below the market. So they price an at-the-money put and a call should be roughly the same price. And how far with that premium, what the value of that premium that you would have to pay to either buy a put or a call gives an idea of what the market expectation. That's also known as volatility, or the way I look at it is average true range.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you for that, Coach. We can see over the last couple of quarters, there's been a surprise with Nvidia earnings. Each one bigger than the last. Going back to Q4 2022, positive 8%, 18%, 29. So should be a big move in either direction. If we do see the surprise to the upside, we will be making new all-time highs in Nvidia, and numbers coming out in about 30 seconds. Coach, you have any exposure to Nvidia?
No.
No.
None, zero. I don't have a NASDAQ position, and then I do not trade stocks.
Gotcha.
Futures
Why trade
are
stocks when you can
enough for
trade
me.
futures?
Thank you. I've traded singles. They used to have single stock futures.
Okay.
I thought they were awesome. But they didn't. They were launched at the same time ETFs were. I could make a study and a argument saying you're better off trading single stock futures than ETFs, but the sales of the brokerage firms really have a big say in that. So
Seeing some movement here to the downside. Nvidia now trading 140. Looks
here
like the
we go.
report is out. I'm not seeing a number yet, but chat, if you got it, let us know. We got a beat.
No, we just
Let's see if we got these numbers up here yet.
you saying that they might have been leaked or just pure nervousness. I don't know.
Nervousness or somebody has them. I'm not sure. I'm not seeing it here. We would see it update on TradingView, but I know someone in chat has it. His Royal saying not seeing anything yet. Yeah, not seeing it yet, but we're seeing the market's response. I think we
Um,
just got that 8% move to the downside.
well, it's not on big volume,
No, not at all.
so
Not at all. Still scanning for that number. Not out yet. I'm going to pull up a NASDAQ chart to see if we get any response there. We see the NASDAQ selling off as well. As Nvidia goes, the NASDAQ is going to go. NASDAQ settled around 20,770, which was right above that monthly VWAP that we were tracking before, down about 0.8% on that print. Again, still not seeing the numbers out yet. Oh, here we go. Adjusted earnings per share, 81 cents. Estimate was 74 cents. Revenue 35.1 billion. Estimate 33.25 billion. Sees fourth quarter revenue 37.5 billion plus or minus 2%. All right. So it looks like a beat, but maybe not as much of a surprise as expected, because we see the sell off. But again, how the market responds and what the actual news is, it's always going to be somewhat different, right? The market may say, "Hey, that's not enough, right? You didn't make enough money, so we're going to sell off." Do I think that this is a reversal in the trend of Nvidia? Personally, I don't. I think it's just a slight pullback, and we can see it already. We've retraced half of that downward move already. If you're trading this, I know some people are probably trading options and things like that. Whatever you do, manage your risk if you can. It's a pretty wild move, and just the start of it, right? We'll see a lot more and hear a lot more when they have their conference call, and then the market's response when more traders can trade it on the market open tomorrow will tell us a lot. And the reason we're focusing on this, you might ask, Coach just said I don't have an Nvidia position, but I'll trade it and I'll trade the NQ around it. The reason we're focused on this, at Topstep we trade futures accounts, and Nvidia is the number two. The last time I checked, number two weighted company in the Nasdaq. So it's important, right? As Nvidia goes, the Nasdaq is going to go as well. So it's important for us to pay attention to. You'll hear a lot of talk about the Mag 7 companies on Topstep TV. I personally don't look at them while I'm trading the Nasdaq. I'll just trade the instrument that I'll chart the instrument that I'm looking at. But any of those Mag 7 earnings are going to be important for the overall move in the Nasdaq. Anything else you got on Nvidia, Coach?
no. And one thing on this volatility, in front of big numbers like this.
Coach, move your headset down.
Oh, sorry about that.
All good.
Um, the, when the number comes out in this environment that the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ official day is closed, it's going to be a thin market. That means market makers, that the arbitrage that they would use is severely limited. So that first jerk reaction,
No one's on the
um,
books.
it's it usually, if you're making a market, you can I'm just say if it's you know on the bid and offer, if there's 500, and with the market being closed and a big number, in the pit we used to say, locals put their hands down. That means they're not participating, and if they do, if there was a 100 lot trader, he's now, well, I'll be 10 up. So then without that, any kind of big order or medium size comes order exacerbates the move. And that's really the way I saw what just happened. Whether it was good news or bad news, um,
There's no one on the books to trade
there's
it.
lack liquidity. Yeah, there's no, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it's the one thing we talk about a lot. You'll hear people, why is it important to look at the DOM? Why is it important to look at the order book? Maybe you're not placing your trades based on it, but when you see a thin book that way, this is what can happen. This could be FOMC, right? This could be CPI. When the books clear out, there's no guarantee that you get a fill at the price that you're looking to get filled at, right? Ideally, we're using stop market orders for all of our stops, but the nature of a market order is going to fill you where the market is. So I could have, I could be long at 770 with a stop at 740. If the market is trading at 700, by the time I get a fill, that's the price that I'm going to get. So um, we love the volatility. We embrace the volatility. I'm excited to see, what this brings as far as, the rest of the week goes. Um, but that's what we have on Nvidia earnings. The earnings call is at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So in about a half an hour, if anyone wants to listen into that, you can get. I'll try to get the link here, but you can get it on the Nvidia website. If you go to their investor relations page and want to listen into that earnings call, you can do that at 5 p.m. Eastern time. All right,
Right.
let's uh, let's get into the markets that we trade here at Topstep and go over the top
Show.
percent. Go ahead, coach.
Oh yeah, go over the top percentages. Yes.
Top percentage movers on the day. There are about 35 different markets that we can trade with Topstep accounts. Um, Not just the equities, even though the equities were where my focus was today. Uh, but to the downside, we had silver down 1.05%, platinum down 1.31%, and soybean oil, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, at 3.47%. To the upside, we had micro Bitcoin futures up 1.83%, making a new all time high today. Lean hogs up 1.9%, and nat gas, our biggest percentage mover to the upside, I believe after being our biggest percentage mover to the downside or in that list somewhere yesterday, nat gas up 7.67%. To round out our big four, we have gold up 0.86%. Uh, where's everything else? The S&P down 0.14%. These things hiding from me. The NASDAQ down 0.39% and crude oil down 0.26% to round out our big four. Where do we want to start, coach?
Well, let's start the show with the biggest um, in the NASDAQ since we are watching Nvidia.
Yes, we are. So coming into today, looking at a 30-minute chart here on the NASDAQ. Actually, let's go to a daily real quick. We've talked about kind of this price action we've had around this 50-day moving average and 20-day moving average. The yellow line is the 20, 50 is purple, and all the way down here, the white line is the 200. Uh, Kind of been range bound, right? We had this sell off last Friday, and we've been inside that range, almost like a reverse engulfing candle, right? Where we establish this range and don't trade outside of it for a little while. 50% of that range was 20,693 half. The one other thing we were tracking this month so far was the monthly VWAP, which is at 20,755, we'll call it. Uh,
Yeah,
Stuck in a range somewhat, but coach providing decent opportunity to take trades either
let's
way.
do that. And good job today on fast markets, Coach.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. We will go over that trade that we did see. I came into this market looking to sell it with the idea being, we have NVIDIA earnings after the close. We're somewhat in this range, right? We traded down to the low of the range, back up to the highs, the lows. Yesterday, we traded back up to this high, and I was not expecting much of a directional move coming in. I think I said when we opened up fast markets that I was looking for a place to sell, and the way the market sold off, it didn't really give me a great opportunity to get in. Um, so I only traded the Nasdaq to the long side today. If we look at the first 30-minute opening range from last night, not much of an urgency trade to see here. Decent opportunity. You could have taken this um, where we leave the opening range. But if we see where this candle closes, this 30-minute candle, by the time VWAP is leaving the range, we're already, 40 points away from the high. And again, not expecting much of a directional move with the Super Bowl of earnings coming up. Anything you saw in
Oh,
the overnight last night, Coach?
well, with that Super Bowl of earnings, is it halftime now or is the game over?
Dude, I think we're just getting started. I think that's how it works. I don't even
Okay.
know.
Um, no, the on the opening, we just there was sellers that came in hot and heavy. Um, I used the 3 minute and it did me some good. Um,
Yep.
even on a micro. Um,
It's a beautiful trade. Uh,
um, we left it uh, within minutes, right? And one of the things why I is sometimes if we're just tied to price and how much it's higher or lower on the day, sometimes we don't we'll hesitate to make the trade we need to make. Um, so with how quick it moved, it sometimes it's hard to just sell it. We feel like it's already happened. Um, so here, just knowing that urgency and knowing, okay, I'm not gonna if it makes a high higher than that, then I'm wrong, and I accept it, and I was really comfortable. But that also correlated with the half hour bar.
yep.
Um, so it was a really good opportunity. Um, here's another thing. Notice on that half hour on the 200 moving average.
Right at the high on the open.
Yeah, and also that moving average is starting to slope down.
Yep.
See, we had it run up, went sideways, and then it started sloping down. That's good information.
Yeah.
So it was a great sell. Um, but no, there's more than one side to the market, and
Yeah.
I'll pass it to you on that.
Yes, there is. Yeah, this is a really great sell, Coach. And I was almost kicking myself for not taking this trade because it was the urgency in it. And sometimes, this is where we talk about, sometimes I'm really try to be really patient with an entry and wait for the technical setup and get back to VWAP, or a retest of it. And sometimes you don't get that. Right. I hear you in the back of my head. Sometimes does your market button not work? It's like, hey, the water's warm, just get in. And I think that little bit of hesitation caused us to not get in this trade. Um, but at the same time, we talked about it here, right down at these 640s, where this may feel like selling in the hole based on the New York session uh, range. But if we zoom out and look at the 30-minute range, we were really just getting started with that sell off, right? We're somewhere in the middle of the range and momentum is heavy to the sell side. Do you want to try to get a better sell, closer to VWAP? Yes, but in this consolidation, I guess we can kind of call this a little bit of a bear flag. Um, it's a decent trade to take, right? Either way, the trade is invalidated with a stop above that VWAP on the sell side. So we could have taken it. It's not a trade that I take very often because for me, I found that usually when I take that trade, I'm somehow late to the move and we get a bounce. But we look for some opportunities to buy. Initially, trading with Jerome, who number 16 on the leaderboard, great trader. Looking for a long somewhere near these lows, which sounds a little crazy, but we got to remember that we're in this medium time frame range, right, on the 30-minute. So buying somewhere near the 520 level, 500 level, I thought was reasonable, right? We did get into a long, initially get stopped out. The stop was right about 480 when we got stopped out. And the one thing, Coach, I reviewed that trade almost right after we took it. We got long at 528, and I came into the morning saying anytime we get into a trade, we should be 1.5 the 30-minute ATR.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, I heard that.
so
And
one
it
and
was
a half.
60.
Yep.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, coach.
60 points. 60 points. And if we look at it after when we got into that trade around 520, we'll call it 525, the ATR was 40 points. If we went with a 60-point stop, 1.5 ATRs, we would have never gotten hit. So I love the trade. I love the trade, but the stop placement is important. And I think more so, you know, I don't want to lose X amount of dollars. Uh, Placing my stop in a area where the market does not have has a low probability of trading to is where we should think. Now, if you put on a 60-point stop and you're like, oh, whoa, that's a lot of money, it's not, right? It's, relative to the contract size that you're trading, right? If you're trading 15 lots and 60 points is too much, it's like, yeah, because your account can't facilitate that. But if you're trading a micro or you're trading, half of a mini, 5 micros, then 60 points is where it needs to go just based on the market volatility. And again, coach, I thank you for just bringing that to my attention. Your stop would have been even further because you were going 2 ATRs at 80 points. But where the stop needed to be.
Well, yeah, and that's here. I use stops like that as an ejection seat.
Right.
Some new information could come in, says, okay, I could take a smaller loss or my, an exit. Um, but one of the most common problems is taking too many small to medium losses.
Right.
Think about it. If you want to just risk 10 or 20 points in a NASDAQ, but you'd like to make 200, right? Is the market really going to give you that? It might, but that's a very, and it just
Champagne
position
tastes with a beer
sizing
budget,
and
right?
with champagne takes the 6-pack budget. Yeah, my aunt used to tell me that. I'm like, no, what's wrong with that?
Right.
But yeah, if you're, the thing is, yeah, if you can do that, but you're going to trade a lot, or you have to have a high percentage trading system where you're getting 90%. The problem with that is patience and then missing it because they're not
Yep.
going to come around too long. And then that can lead to other bad decisions, but that's not what we're going through right now. But having proper risk, and proper risk is sometimes, I think one of the least talked about proper risk is taking the right amount of risk. Sometimes it's too small.
Yeah, for sure. Got to give the market the space it needs to work. The trade we eventually did take in the house account, and I took in my accounts as well. We frame out this volume candle here. You guys know how often I talk about volume, but this 3-minute candle ended up being the highest volume of the day and higher than the open. Right? If we look at the volume down here, the opening candle is this one, and the 3-minute candle that we got was higher than that open. Um, and we took another long somewhere around 5:20 after getting stopped out of that first one. And I asked the team, hey, let's take that trade off and get a confirmation. I liked the long, but looking at this candle, coach, we know that there were some sellers that came in here. They didn't get immediately rejected. Sometimes we see this high volume happen at the dead low of the market, but we got some continuation below it. So there were some sellers below 20,500 where I'm thinking if price holds in this range, I don't want to be long because whoever this seller was has some deep pockets, right, and may be continuing to sell the market. Where I want to get long, and we've talked about this, being that J trade, a close above this range tells me that any sellers in the range or below are now underwater. Right? What happens to bad sellers? They eventually become buyers. So once we did, and I still preempted this because we didn't get the close. But once we bounced and hit 50% to the tick and kind of held it, this is where I took the first long at 556, and my stop was going to be below where this selling came in. Why is the stop placed there? Because if these sellers continue to come back in, I don't want to be in the market anymore because they're likely to continue to push it lower. And we can see we respected that level the rest of the day. Gave us 1, 2, 3 really good opportunities to buy from those prices. Um, and you had said something before we got on, coach, and I really like that. The later it gets in the day, and the more we don't see price action sell below this level, the better trade it is. And that's the trade that we saw the team take in Power Hour. Why did you say that, coach?
Well, we had the dramatic selling early with
Hmm.
that high volume, and that's just. And I want to thank you for um, helping me understand this because I watched volume for years and years, and I really struggled with it. It was a price, but the J trade or the big volume was a selling candle, and it took us a little bit, but like you said, once we got over that, it started acting as support. But look at the volume; it was smaller and smaller and smaller. And look at VWAP; it bottomed.
Yep.
So that what, and you hear a Coach Dakota say it all the time. What was resistance is now support. But later and later it gets in the day, the less and less the sellers are showing up. They're done. The selling was done on that candle, from
Yep.
my point of view. So I didn't think it would be that dramatic. Um, it was quite a rally late in the day.
Yeah, it was. Um,
Was actually probably better than the break. So identifying, take the proper risk, but that was a classic J trade. I'm going to put that in the J trade museum.
put it in the dictionary. Um, and just the rally into the close, and of course we don't know what's going to happen. But if we think about just the way I'm taking this trade, I'm thinking about shorts having to cover, right? And if we look at where the sell off happened, now we're back to balance, right? If we get back to the point where the shorts initially came into the market and close above it, to me, I'm looking at the market as flat. Um, and that's balance. That's back in the range that we've been in. So setting targets up there are reasonable. It took a while to get there because sellers looked like they didn't want to give it up all day, but eventually, when you don't get what you want, you have to close that position, and that's how I'm reading that. But anything else on the equity markets, Coach?
Um, no, I'm good there. Um,
Awesome.
where are we at right now? We're
Uh,
basically where we started before the numbers. That's the
yeah,
last.
yeah, not much of a change. We did close above the 20 moving average, which is at 20,680, we'll call it. That monthly VWAP is right around there as well. And then I'll just pull up an S&P chart just really quick. Uh, yeah, violently unchanged on the S&P as well, still above that 20 moving average. Um, Market's waiting for Santa, maybe.
It's, uh, have you been
Start
a
your
good
Christmas shopping.
boy?
Start your
Stop.
Christmas
Yeah,
shopping if you haven't already. It'll be here before we know it.
it's funny. I keep getting delivered coal on my stocking. Is that a message, Coach?
It might be.
That,
It might be.
that I that I didn't take good losses?
It might be. Um, did get a message from Eddie while we were, trading on fast markets, and he said, he was looking at the Russell and the Dow, and shout out to Eddie. He's always looking for what the leader and the lagger are in these markets, and basically just seeing which one of the equity markets goes first. And he saw it in the Russell, right? Do we always want to scan all four markets while we're trading? Maybe, maybe not. But sometimes looking at one of the other equity markets can give you a sign. I know Eddie talked about a short in the NASDAQ when the Russell looked like it was turning. And if we put up a NASDAQ chart next to this, the NASDAQ was still going up at the time. So an added confluence you can use in your trading. Maybe if you're not seeing movement in the S&Ps and the Nasdaq, and the Russell or Dow are moving early, it may be a precursor to a move in one of the other markets. Um, so shout out to you,
Yeah,
Eddie.
yeah. Thanks, Eddie.
Let's hold on. I think we got some questions, and then we'll go on to gold. Oh no, we answered the questions. So ICT asks, do you ever look at the 79 retracement level? I don't, but if that's like a fib level or something like that, yeah, I don't. But not to say that it's right or wrong. Do you know what that is, Coach? The 79 retracement.
No, I'm not familiar with that. But whatever works for you.
Yep.
Um, Maybe you could send us an example.
All right. Let's. Honestly, I don't know what other markets did today. I know Bitcoin made a new all-time high, but my focus was heavily on the equities. If I'm looking at gold, gold was pretty consolidated. We see, uh, you know, actually, let me go to a 30-minute chart. Gold was not consolidated at all.
Yeah. Well, I
What are you
was
talking
like,
about? What are you talking about?
fool's gold.
This is literally the first time I'm looking at this market today. I did not pay very much attention to it at all. I was kind of occupied with the equities trades, but okay, gold was not consolidated. Excuse me, but
Sloppy again,
sloppy again. Yep,
uh, or great, depending on your. When I say that, it's from my perspective.
agreed.
Um, but that S in a VWAP says it traded both sides. Um, that can be good and bad. But that usually for I expect people can get that's kind of a definition of a whipsaw.
Yeah.
Um, but let's go through it. Let's see what.
So we did trade above the 30 moving average, 200 moving average on the 30-minute a couple of days ago, and we talked about this kind of leading to a strong uptrend, and that's what we're seeing right now. I'm curious to see what was around this 2620 level, if there was a moving average or anything like that. I do see some prior resistance maybe becoming support at this 2620 area. But that's where we pulled back to in the overnight session. And it wasn't the cleanest overnight session, right? Because it presented what looked like that urgency trade right away. This feels like the copper trade from last night, from yesterday, right? Where it presented the urgency, didn't get the continuation, sold off back to a support, and then eventually get the move during the New York session. Maybe we go out to a
What was
daily.
that low, Coach?
Uh,
What was that low?
2622. 2622.
Yeah, um, didn't have any of that.
Yeah,
So
I didn't have anything around there.
you
We
know what
did.
happened there?
Mhm.
The selling stopped. I
More buyers than
And
sellers.
I don't say, yeah, it just stopped where it stopped. But don't say that to be completely a smart ass. But it's something that really happened. Um, Now, in that break, and this is similar to, when we get this one, two, three, four, five selling candles in a row, and we've noticed this in gold. The lower it goes, and then it's like it gets condensed. The ranges get smaller and smaller. It's like a jack in a box. And I see we had that in the half hour today. Um, as we broke into those new low, we were getting smaller and smaller ranges. But this is a classic. Even if it's not a J trade, this is a 3-bar reversal, is it not?
This one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
All right.
on the 30
So
minute.
when a 3-bar reversal happens at the low, that's when the selling stopped. That's what I mean by that.
Yep.
We don't know, one of the things we don't know until after it happens, right? So because there's always uncertainty. We can make a plan to trade it after it happens. We might get early, but if we're managing our risks, we get to take more than one shot at it in the day. But in this one, here we go again. Lower, lower, lower. One, two, three. We break the high of the last. So once it starts breaking, it never really didn't finish high. close or even trade higher than the previous candle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think
Sorry,
6 or 7.
yeah, yeah. Wow, that looks like the same exact pattern on that daily on the
It,
30 minute. It's just
so once and we didn't get a volume event, did we?
if we go down to a shorter time frame, we might find one, but I'm not seeing one on a 30 minute.
Yeah. But what we did see is it broke the high of the previous candle off the low. Do I know that's the low? But no, I can speculate if this is the low, I want at least when one of my process, one of them has to break the high or maybe even close higher than the previous candle. Then I might have the low. But if you see that looked like the daily, almost exact thing. It almost looked like it's the same pattern today in NASDAQ.
Right.
Um, that's just a classic charting pattern. Does it always work? No, but is it worth taking the trade? Yeah, I actually like taking that trade on a micro. Find a place to add.
Oh,
I didn't
nice.
trade gold today, but that pattern gives me a shot. Okay, you know, if I'm at a poker table, I want in. I'm interested, so I'll pay the ante. I might even pay the raise. Right?
Yeah.
I'm making quantified bets. Do I think is it would have rip like that? No. But another trick that you've used is put on VWAP.
From that
And
low.
then and from that low, and we get consolidation and VWAP's holding it's incrementally making new highs also. So if I would have done that off the previous candle, I could have limited my risk, right? But what I didn't get on the previous candle was breaking the high.
Right. Yeah, we
So
never got back above this high. I tried it, and sometimes that's a good short signal, right? Where if you're looking to get into the trend and you have some of these heavy candles, right, something like this, where I could map out this candle. If I think that there's potential continuation here, if I'm not seeing the candle at least test 50% of the prior candle, that's a decent short opportunity. So I think, if we're looking for higher probability, coach, the close above just adds a percentage to that probability. And of course, the outcome is still always going to be 50-50. Um, but you're not guessing whether or not the market is done trading these prices. It's showing you that at least for now, it is right now. Anything could change, and sellers could come back in, but they closed above, and then we can look at it as any seller in here has to become a buyer eventually.
yeah, we got at least the first sign of some buying
Right.
or the opposite of selling. The seller stopped selling. Um, so looking at that pattern, you can find it regularly. But well, like I said, Anuj has how do you avoid looking at P&L constantly during that trade? I don't have it up because we talk about this is the principles of successful trading. Accept the risk. Um, Once you accept the risk and you have your stop in, and I know this, that stop is going to be new lows or two ATRs. In this case, because I didn't get a volume confirmation, I probably have a little less confident. I would say make new lows. But if I'm staring at my P&L, it's up, it's up, it's up.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
down, it's down, it's down. Oh shit, I'm not gonna let this ever happen to me again. I get out and then it's up, 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 and I'm not in. Um, accept it.
Yeah.
Don't stare at it. Holy shit. It's to be like owning real estate and then looking at your Zillow every day,
Yeah. It's like, oh,
right?
the estimate's down $1,000. It's like,
I got to get out now, right? Um, those things help. Not Don't have it out there. If you have your stop in, that should be part of your process. That stop, can I afford this? I'm willing to afford it. I'm comfortable. Stop me out, baby.
yeah. Um, we honestly even said that with the house account today when we got in, and at one point we were just like, "Hey, we like where that stop is. Either MOC or take us out." And if we stuck to that, we had a trade that was another $150 in our favor, 150 points in our favor. So trust it. Maybe you don't take a full position to your stop out either, or to your profit target either. But yeah, staring at your P&L all day, it's going to do nothing but cause anxiety.
Yeah, and
Coach,
anxiety is the kryptonite of successful trading.
for sure. We got a question from Joe Sams. I'm finding it hard to not trade after I hit my personal stop loss for the day. I keep trading and lose more. I use Tradeovate. Do you have any tips for sticking to the plan? Coach, you
I'll
want to
let
take
you
that one?
start with that.
Oh yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it. Do so you've identified that you have a personal stop loss for a limit for a reason. Maybe your platform doesn't allow you to lock yourself out of trading, but what I say is do whatever you can to not make another trading decision once you hit that number, right? The personal stop loss that you have is something that you've set based on prior information. And you're making that decision with a sound mind, right? You're saying, hey, I'm reviewing my trades, I'm reviewing my, P&L over an extended period of time, and this is where my personal stop loss needs to be in order for my business to operate correctly. Um, and I think we said it the other day. A baker doesn't shut down the bakery if they don't sell X amount of cupcakes for one day, right? So don't let that one day blow up your entire account. Um, do whatever you can to walk away, right? Go out, take a step outside. I've recommended people I've done this before, so I'm not recommending anything I haven't done. I've laid down on my desk, under my desk on the floor, and just looked at the screens far enough away from my mouse and keyboard where I can't click the button. And what really happened, what I got from doing that was just like, okay, you can step away, and right, like how ridiculous is it that you lost a certain amount of money and you were going to sit in that chair and try to force another decision to try to get it back. Kind of laughed at myself laying on the floor and just like, okay, I'm good. Something to kind of break you out of that tunnel vision, because that's what happens, right? You hit a certain stop loss, you get tunnel vision. Hey, I want this money back. I'm going to get it back. F you market, like you took my money from me. That's what it wants you to do, right? The market is actually egging you on to keep bringing that emotion out of you, because for most people, that's going to lead to you just you know feeding more into it. So do whatever you can to walk away. Obviously, nothing physically harming to yourself. I hear some people say I smack myself to wake myself up. And it's like you could. There's probably easier ways you can do that. Um, but whatever it takes, right? And if it sounds stupid, that's fine. It also sounds stupid to sit in a chair and continue losing money after you've identified where you should cut yourself off. What would you say, Coach?
It comes down to your process. And there's one of the greatest tools why you should be on TopstepX is the ability to do that. Um, to lock yourself out or have a personal daily loss limit, not 50%. Um, but really, if you understand your process and you accept it, you work your way into just taking the losses, and it becomes you have to have a positive mindset that, yeah, I can't take good losses. I'm really good at it. And the more you train your mind to do that, the easier it becomes. Because in the process, that's why you keep hearing me talking, or Coach Jay and I talking about risk management. Um, Two things. Yeah, have that. If you don't have that button, then you got to size down. I'll give you just example, if you're having that fear, because it's really a fear based, your fear of having to lose.
Hmm.
I talked with my privateers, my VIP section today about just that, loving your losers. It's an old saying from a great trader who trained um, very successful traders on the Chicago Board of Trade floor. I knew a couple of them, and he said, our mantra. He taught us some mantras. We have to sit there all day and sit, love your losers. Um, When I first heard that, I won't, the word I used was started with an F and ended with a U. I'm like, come on, love my losers. Love my losers. I'll give them to you. You
Right.
can love them all you want. What I didn't really understand at that time was that if I really enjoy taking good losses because it's the right thing to do, it's part of my trading process, I can get away from that. It's not going to happen right away, but in practice, you practice that all the time, and then you have the experience to go, I'm not going down that road again. I am good to take losses, and that's what makes me a successful trader.
Yep.
Um, that's and that takes time. It didn't happen in a day with me.
Yeah. Definitely not. It's important though. It is important. How to deal with FOMO from Lolo. How do you deal with FOMO? Uh,
Lolo and FOMO.
to me, I think it's I. So, how do I deal with FOMO? I had FOMO this morning. It's not something that you ever get away from. Why did I have FOMO? Because this is an A plus plus setup that I've talked about so many times here, and it's a trade that I should have been in for 200 points to the downside. I didn't take it. I can't think about what would have been if I did take it. I could, but it doesn't serve me any good, right? We've all done it, right? Where you should have taken the trade from here, you don't take it. You know you should have taken it here, you still didn't take it. Here, you still don't take it. Default, what happens is I start measuring from the highest point that I could have taken the trade down to the lowest, right? This is how FOMO gets a lot of us. If I was in right here at 740, the highest tick, which you probably wouldn't have gotten either way, but that's how your brain is going to tell you to measure it, and got down to the lowest tick, I'd be up 100 points right now. Oh man, I'm an idiot for not taking that trade. I should have just pressed the button, blah, blah, blah. None of that serves you for getting into your next trade, right? You're just going to miss information. Um, Process FOMO after the fact. But I think the best thing to do, and we coach basketball players, we tell them all the time, you turn the ball over, next play mode. If I sit there and think about the turnover that I just had, the next time the ball is in my hands, I'm going to turn it over again because I'm not thinking about what's happening in the present moment. And sometimes that present moment is telling you to just sit back and don't do anything because there's not another great opportunity presenting themselves to you, right? So I think anytime you find that you've missed a trade, if you're thinking about the money that you could have made, maybe a good time to step away. But if you're able to kind of just reset your mind and say, okay, where is the market now? What can I assess now? And potentially get into a trade, uh, then that serves you better, right? You're going to potentially get into a trade, right? I took none of this to the short side. I was I happy about it? No, but I have to find where the next opportunity was, and I say it out loud, right? I say it out loud sometimes on Topstep TV, right? Where it's just like, oh man, we're never gonna get that price we're looking for. I just remind myself verbally out loud, you'll find another one, right? There's more than one trade a day, and if I don't get that one a day, guess what? I'm gonna trade tomorrow. Um, so it's next play mode. Just kind of have a short term memory. Uh, it sounds easier, but it sounds easy. It's not easy to do because when we see a good setup, we want to take it. But you got to be honest with yourself. You didn't take it. Next time, take it so you don't have that FOMO. What would you say, Coach?
I agree with everything you just said. I really, it really comes down to that. Um, because it's, fear-based decision, fear of missing out. I got to take every trade. Goes back to, getting your process down to 4 steps,
Mhm.
whatever that process is. And part of that, one of those steps is, can I afford to take this trade? Um,
Yeah.
because, going to a basketball example, the great John Wooden just used to tell his players, be quick, but don't hurry.
Hmm.
And I would say a quick trade is a trade that you're waiting for, right? It's well defined, good risk. A FOMO trade is a hurry trade. I gotta get in. I missed it. Define with a trading plan. It's 4 steps that you go. Okay, check, 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 go.
Right.
That that's being quick. So fear of missing out is in a hurry. Um, there's plenty of trades. That's why I look at different markets.
Yeah. That's a good point too. How often Coach? Do you ever have FOMO now at all? Does it ever?
Yeah,
And how do you deal with it?
I feel it. I'm
Right.
I literally feel it.
Yep.
So then, when I feel it, I don't have to act out on it.
Right.
So then I go to my checkpoint. Really, one, two, is it this, this, and this? Do I accept the risk? No, I'm being quick. Um, that's why having a 4 step process, which condenses what you're looking for. Then if I do that before I get in, then I'm feeling FOMO, not acting out on it. My problem, I get angry, then I'd act out in anger, and the market just beat me up as much as I was tough.
Right.
Well, I don't need to be tough. I just need to be better. So
Correct.
that really helped me, um, because we're all humans. It's part of our functioning.
Oh yeah. It's going to happen. It's just about your response to it. And like you said, Coach, you trade other markets. Sometimes that's the fix for me, right? Okay, I missed the opportunity there. Let me see if another opportunity market is presenting an opportunity. Because I think sometimes when we miss the trade, we start to get into that opinion mind, and the markets don't care about my opinion, right? So let me just go and see if another market is presenting an opportunity. Is a pretty good fix as well. Uh, Crude oil. I want to talk about a crude oil trade that I took because it was similar to the Nasdaq trade, but this is one that didn't work out. We had this highest volume. We had crude inventories out today. So I framed out this high volume. While all of this was happening, we were busy trading the Nasdaq. But we can see, right, 50% of that high volume held was a decent trade to the long side. I missed this action, but when I saw price kind of holding that 50% again, I got in here at 69.16. And thought process was, you know, if this is going to hold, do we continue to trade up? Target was 70, but we also know that crude has been pretty choppy over the last couple of days. I ended up taking a scratch on this trade. When we got back above, we closed above, the high of the candle, which to me looks good. But we never really got any continuation. If you look at the volume lower, this is just one of the examples where it doesn't work out. The one thing I could do is attach VWAP to this and flatline. Never left the range. Price did, but VWAP didn't, and that's why we didn't get that continuation. No volume behind the price, and a sell off. So just an example of the times where it doesn't work. Just so we know what it looks like when it's not going to work. Uh,
Great example there, because
Thanks,
once
coach.
you start that, you could see that the price above that VWAP in the beginning of that is
Mm,
air.
yep.
It's right, and it looked like it was going to go.
Yeah, it did.
Um, and God, see now FOMO, crude oil's got plenty of it for me. I have to wrestle with it all the time, and the crude market does not present my style of trading. So either I have to accept that I got to keep doing it until I get what I'm looking for, or don't even look at it.
Right.
Um, but that's a classic crew that makes it look like to the moon, Alice.
Never
Another
mind.
failed attempt. Never mind.
Um, any other markets we
Oh,
want to look at, Coach?
Um, no, we only have about 5 minutes left.
We do. Time goes by fast when you're having fun. We got a good question here, though, from
hmm
Mike Jones. Who? Mike Jones. Who? Micros. He was trading micros. I think some of those are from yesterday's open. Traded 34 trades today, plus 1,600 in a combine. Is that too many trades? 34 trades, trading micros, made $1,600. Is that too many trades?
It's a really good question. Without knowing your process, do you trade 34 every day? Or every one of those part of the process that you're looking at? I wouldn't say it's not too many. Um, it was successful, but I think that, you know, I don't, without knowing what your process is, but it worked. Um, I don't think 34 trades. I think that's right around what in the area. I think 100 trades a day is too much. Um, but if you're looking at a 1 minute chart, you might be there. Um, but once again, that word consistency comes out. If it worked today because it happened to be you happen to be in the right place at the right time, or were you consistent in your decision making of your plan? I think the time will tell, but whatever you did today, review it and review it to see if you veered from your plan and made money, or man, this kind of day worked really well and I made great decisions. Anything else on that, coach?
Yeah, I will say 34 trades can seem like a lot, but if you're scaling in and out of a position, then it's not the case, and you're trading micros, so that likely what you were doing. Um, I like to think about trades as the amount of trades I take as trade ideas. How many trade ideas do I have for the day? Right, the Nasdaq trade, the long. That's one trade idea. Now, if there's multiple executions of that same idea, I consider that one trade. Right, as long as the information for that trade stays the same, right? If I take a long down here at 550 and do that multiple times along the way, or if I'm scaling in and out, that's one trade. If I take another long up here at 700, that's a completely different trade idea. Um, but either way, we're going to see people scalp and take, you know, 50 trades a day, 100 trades a day. There was a trader who made $14,000 trading 3,000 micros. Um, can I coach somebody to do that and know how to do that? I have no idea how they did that. Can I argue with $14,000? I can't. So if you find something, if the numbers work in your favor for whatever you're doing, um, then continue doing that, right? Because sometimes, coach, you're gonna get a kid that shoots the ball like this over his head and it goes in, and you want to fix it, but it's just like whatever I do, the kid's gonna keep shooting the ball that way. I like the result. It's going in the basket. So as long as the numbers continue to stay on your side, continue doing what you're doing. I think you're asking the question because you felt like it was too much. Take that into consideration, right? If your P&L curve, let's say you got to 1600 positive after your first two trades, and then your P&L curve was up and down and up and down and up and down, and it ended at 1600, then the 32 trades you made after the first two that got you to that profit target were probably too much because look at the progress you made. You didn't make much, right? So uh, it depends. My initial answer is going to be no, but obviously more context would help on that.
Yeah. And you brought in a good point. If that you traded it in the first part of the day 22 trades, and then you traded less after that, no, were you taking small losses on that? And then on the winner, you held it longer. That's where I think you could find the appropriate answer is in your holding time, because you could have taken just small losses, held them for a short period of time, but you let the winner ride. So
Yep.
good job, by
Uh,
the way.
His Royal Trade says, "Thank you guys. At the Buzzer is easily my favorite segment on Top Step. A perfect mix of technical, psychological, and experiential analysis." His Royal,
Well,
thank you for joining us. Do we do it, Coach? Uh,
yes.
I'm trying to remember exactly what the outcome of that meeting was, but I'll just say it. Coach Paul and I are looking to get some of our audience on at the Buzzer. For those of you that join us all the time, um, we got to be we want to invite some of you on maybe once a month or so. We'll figure out exactly how we're going to do it, um, but we want to just reach out to the community that's here joining us, invite you guys on the show, maybe do some trade review. Do exactly what we're doing here. We can review some of your reports. We'll let you know exactly what the process is going to be for that. But I think we have somewhat of a short list of people we want to invite on to join initially, and then we may open it up from there. But want to thank everyone for joining. It looks like our community here is growing. We see the numbers going up, and we're not tracking numbers, right? I'm not watching the P&L on our viewers, but it's good to see that hopefully any of this information is helping you in your trading journeys. So hit that like button if you haven't done so already. Tell your friends to subscribe. And Coach, I got nothing else before we go. You got anything?
I'll double that. I look forward to that with our audience. We'd like to hear from you. We'd like to talk to you, bring you on. I think it's a great idea, Coach. I'm glad you brought that up. Um, and we'll continue to try and improve and also continue to share our knowledge and experience. And let's all grow together.
100%. Last thing, remember there was a VIP form drop today that was number 9. On Friday, there's going to be a top quiz. Top 25 winners of top quiz will get an extra entry for the VIP drawing. In January, we're going to be picking 10 brand new teams. So if you want to get on the VIPs, make sure you're hitting those check-in forms, and maybe if you missed a couple, try to win top quiz on Friday for an extra chance with that. Remember, we got classes in Discord. Coach Hoop does one in about 12 minutes, and then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince at 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time, and then of course Dakota with slow markets tonight. Just saw a question: am I going to be on slow markets? I'm not. I'll be on tomorrow with Dakota. Wait, is today Wednesday?
Yeah.
Oh shoot! I think I'm supposed to be on tonight. I'll message Dakota and check. I don't know actually. But have a great night, everyone. Make sure you manage your risk if you trade tonight, tomorrow, whenever you do, and we'll talk to you all tomorrow.
All right. Goodbye.
Thanks, Coach.